If you've been holding ADA right now, then you probably do feel like you've been waiting for a train that everyone else says has already left the station. For years, the narrative around Cardano has been one of slow, methodical isolation. You've heard the jokes, you've seen the charts. People call it a ghost chain or an academic experiment that's too slow to move on and too proud to play with others. But recently, the entire script for the next 3 years of this industry was just flipped on its head. Charles Hoskinson, the man who built Cardano from the ground up, just said something that would have been unthinkable even 6 months ago. He looked at the two biggest rivals in this space, Solana and XRP, and told the world that he cannot wait to build on them. Now, this isn't just a tweet. This isn't just a founder playing nice on social media. This is the first public move in a massive, hidden strategy that changes everything for anyone holding ADA. While the rest of the market is just focused on who is going to kill who, Cardano is quietly positioning itself to become the backbone of everything. Now, we've been looking and going to look at the data today too, the secret meetings, the technology that makes all of this possible. So by the time that we are done, you're going to realize that what looked like Cardano's greatest weakness, its isolation, was actually its greatest setup for a success story that nobody saw coming. For a long time, crypto has felt like a high school cafeteria. You have the Solana kids at one table obsessed with speed and meme coin culture. You have the XRP army in the other side, focused on banking and global settlements. And then you have Cardano, sitting in the corner with a stack of peer-reviewed papers, mostly ignored by the cool kids. Now, this tribalism is the villain in the story. It's the force that keeps liquidity locked into silos. It is why you have to jump through the 10 different hoops just to move money from one chain to another. But Cardano is starting to realize that in order to win the war, you don't actually have to kill your enemies. You have to make them your customers. You see, when Charles Hoskinson mentions building on Solana and building on XRP, he isn't talking just about something that a lot of people would assume. No, he's talking about something called partner chains. Now, this is the core of the secret success. Most people think of a blockchain as a single, lonely little island. Cardano is trying to build the bridges and the tunnels that turn these islands into a single functioning city. Now let's think about the sheer weight of that shift then. You see, for years, the Cardano community and the Solana community have usually been at each other's throats. Solana kind of laughs at Cardano's slow transactions. Cardano fans are pointing at Solana's network outages. It was a bit of a stalemate. But now, Cardano is basically saying, we have the security and we have the governance model that you really lack. You have the speed and the users that we want. Let's stop fighting and let's start building. See, if you're holding ADA and you need to understand that your asset is, well, no longer just a bet on one network. It is actually becoming a bet on the entire infrastructure of the future. But how do you actually build on a rival chain without losing your soul? Well, that is where things get interesting. To understand the how, we have to talk about a project most people are completely overlooking, Midnight. Now, if you haven't heard of it, I'm not sure what rock you've been under, but don't worry. It's been kept relatively quiet, I guess, while the developers hammer out all of the details. But Midnight is Cardano's new partner chain focused on privacy. But it's not privacy in the way that you might think. It's not about hiding money for bad actors. It's about selective disclosure. And let's just think about this then. When you go to a bar, you have to show your ID to prove that you are over 21. But the bouncer doesn't really need to know your home address, your weight, or your organ donor status. He just needs a simple yes or a no on your age. Now this is kind of what Midnight does for data. Now, and here is the kicker. Midnight is designed to be at least to be chain agnostic, right? And this basically means that it doesn't live on Cardano. It can reach out and touch Solana. It can also interact with XRP. So when Charles says that he cannot wait to build on these other chains, he's talking about bringing Cardano's privacy and security layers to the people who are already using Solana for high-speed trading or XRP for cross-border payments. He's talking about taking the best parts of Cardano and, well, exporting them. Now imagine that you're a developer on Solana. You love the speed, but you're a bit worried about data privacy for your users. Well, suddenly, Cardano offers you a toolkit that solves your problem without making you leave the Solana ecosystem. You can stay on Solana, but you can use Cardano's technology. That is the secret success here. It's a Trojan horse strategy. Cardano isn't trying to force everyone to move to their chain. They are bringing their chain to everyone else. But wait. Why XRP? Well, this is where the story takes a political turn. Recently, we saw Charles Hoskinson meet with Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple. Now, this was a massive moment for the industry. These are two of the most influential figures in the space, and for years, their communities have been separate. The why here is actually quite simple. It's regulatory clarity and institutional access. Ripple has spent years and hundreds of millions of dollars fighting the SEC. They've done the heavy lifting to prove that certain crypto assets are not securities. They have the relationships with the big banks too. See, Cardano has the most advanced liquid staking and governance models in the world, and by aligning with XRP, Cardano is essentially piggybacking on Ripple's legal victories and institutional network. Now, if you are an ADA holder, you've probably felt the sting of Cardano being labeled a security by certain regulators. Now, by building bridges to XRP, Cardano is positioning itself as a safe zone of assets that have already survived the regulatory fire. They're moving towards a world where the top 10 assets aren't just competitors, they are a coalition. And Cardano is making sure that it is at least it's the one, I guess, holding the clipboard and the blueprints for how this coalition actually works. Now, if you want to keep track of these shifts as they happen, because they do move fast in this space, then we have got a community just for that. It's our free educational Discord, where we track these kind of partner chain developments in real time. We strip away the noise and we look at the actual code and the actual partnerships. It is a place for people who want to stay ahead of the narrative instead of just reacting to it. And there's an open invitation via the link that is in the description down below. You are more than welcome to come and join us there. Now, I do have to pause here for just a second to let you know that I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Of course, this video really is all about entertainment and education, and you may have noticed that the crypto market is volatile and you genuinely could lose everything that you invest. This is why it's really important that you do your own research and consult a qualified professional if you can, because your money is your responsibility. The vision that Charles is laying out is particularly bold, and it's not guaranteed to unfold that way. Building bridges between different blockchains is incredibly difficult. It's kind of where most hacks actually happen. It's where most bugs are found, and just because the secret success plan exists, it doesn't mean that it will be executed perfectly. You have to weigh the potential of this multi-chain feature and future against the very real risks of technical failure or market rejection. Let's talk about the Solana piece of this puzzle, because that is the one that really kind of shocked the market. Solana is built on a completely different architecture than that of Cardano. It's like trying to put a Ferrari engine into a Boeing 747, right? They don't naturally fit together. But Charles is looking at Solana's Fire Dancer upgrade. Now, this is a new validator client for Solana that aims to make it even faster and more resilient. Now, Cardano wants to be the governance layer for these high-speed environments. Let's just think about that for a second. Solana is the racetrack. It's built for speed, but you do need a set of rules, a referee, and a secure way to manage the data of the people in the stands. Now, Cardano just wants to be the referee and the security team. And by building on Solana, Cardano can offer its Ouroboros consensus logic or its decentralized identity solutions to Solana dApps. And this isn't a surrender, it's actually an expansion. It's Cardano saying that we've spent 10 years perfecting the way that a blockchain should be governed. Why should we keep that only for ourselves? Let's sell that governance to the fastest chain on the planet. Now, for you as an ADA holder, this means that the demand for Cardano's technology could eventually come from outside the Cardano community. This is a massive shift in how we value these assets. Usually, a coin's value is tied to the people using that specific chain. In this new model, ADA's value could be tied to the security that it provides to other chains. So how does this actually look in practice? And this is where the secret success becomes a reality. The partner chain framework allows anyone to build a new blockchain that uses Cardano's security. So let's imagine a company that wants to build a supply chain tracker. They need it to be fast, so they use some of the elements of Solana's tech stack. But they need it to be incredibly secure and have decentralized voting too, so they use Cardano's framework. You see, they don't have to choose one or the other, they can have both. Now, this is what people mean when they talk about interoperability, but Cardano is approaching it differently. Instead of just being able to bridge where you can swap coins, they are actually building a framework where you can swap functions. Now, you can take the speed function from Solana, you can take the liquidity from the XRP ledger, and you can have the security and governance from Cardano, and then you can stitch them all together into one product. Now, if this sounds complicated, that is because it is. This is high-level engineering. And if you're someone who actually wants to master these concepts, not just hear about them in a video, but actually truly understand the mechanics of how these chains interact, well, that's why we've built Cheeky School. At cheekyschool.com, we have structured courses that break down the architecture of these networks. We take you from I think I get it to I can explain this to a developer. And if you want to move from being a passive observer to educated participant, well, that's the place to go. Now, we have free courses, we have some paid for courses, but it's well worth checking things out. We have crypto security completely for free, which I think is a very important one that everyone should do. We have other things like portfolio management, risk management, or trading with Elliott Wave or smart money concepts, blockchains 101, Cardano, etc. It is well worth checking it out. I'll also drop a 50% off coupon code in the description down below for anyone who is serious about their education. We are witnessing the death of the maximalist. The idea that one chain will rule them all is dying. The market is just simply too big. The use cases are just too diverse. One chain cannot be the best of everything. Bitcoin, sure, it is the best of the store of value. Ethereum maybe is the biggest ecosystem for decentralized finance. Solana is the fastest for retail trading. Cardano, it is trying to be the best at connecting them. Now, the reason that this is a secret success is that the market hasn't really priced this in just yet. Most people still see the world in A versus B terms. They think if Solana wins, then Cardano loses. But in Charles Hoskinson's new vision, if Solana wins, Cardano provides the governance layer for that win and collects a fee. If XRP wins, then Cardano provides the privacy layer for those transactions and collects a fee. Now, it's kind of the picks and shovels strategy, right? Because during the gold rush, the people who made the most money weren't the miners looking for the gold. They were the people selling the shovels. Cardano is trying to become the company that sells the most established tools for every other miner in the crypto woods. So, what are the stakes for you? Why does this change everything for ADA holders? Well, it is about utility. For a very long time, the utility of ADA was limited to what you could do on Cardano's mainnet. You could stake it, you could vote, you could use it for very niche DeFi protocols. But if Cardano becomes the foundational layer for partner chains on Solana and XRP, the utility of Cardano's ecosystem explodes. You're talking about a massive increase in the number of transactions, the number of developers using Cardano's code, and the overall relevance of the project. But there is a risk here, right? The risk is that Cardano becomes too focused on others and neglects its own home base. If all the innovation is happening on partner chains, what happens to the Cardano mainnet? And the answer lies in the settlement layer. Every single partner chain, whether it is on Solana, XRP, or its own hardware, relies, at least eventually actually I should say, has to settle its most important data back to the Cardano mainnet to actually benefit from its security. Cardano becomes the supreme court of blockchains. Other chains do the work, but Cardano makes the final, most securing ruling. We have to talk about the why behind the timing. Why now? Why did Charles wait until 2025 to make these moves? But it's because the technology finally caught up to the vision. Now, you couldn't do this a couple years ago. The zero-knowledge technology that Midnight uses wasn't ready. The governance model of Cardano, the Voltaire era, wasn't fully decentralized. Cardano waited until it had its own house in order before it started trying to build additions to everyone else's houses. Now, this is the academic approach in action. It's frustratingly slow when the market is pumping, but it's incredibly powerful when the market starts to mature. Now, we are moving into the institutional era of crypto. Big banks and governments don't want a chain that's just fast. They want a chain that is fast and has a formal governance process for when things go wrong. They want a chain that has a rather clear legal standing. By building bridges to XRP and to Solana, Cardano is creating a suite of services for the biggest players in the world. They are saying, whatever your problem is, we have a partner chain for that. Here is the revelation that most people are missing. Cardano isn't competing with Solana and XRP anymore. It is trying to absorb their success. Every time a new meme coin launches on Solana and the network gets congested, that is a commercial for Cardano's partner chain technology. And every time a bank wants to use XRP but is worried about data privacy, well, that's a commercial for Cardano's Midnight. The secret success is that Cardano is turning its competitors into its biggest lead generators. And if you're holding ADA, and you're kind of not just holding a coin then, are you? You're holding a share in a global infrastructure project. You're holding the key to a system that wants to provide the security, it wants to provide the privacy, and it wants to provide the governance for the entire Internet of Value. It is a rather bold bet. It is a complex bet, but for the first time in years, it is a bet that doesn't require everyone else to fail for Cardano to win. So, where does that leave us? Well, the news that Charles Hoskinson wants to build on Solana and XRP isn't a sign of weakness. It is not a sign that Cardano is giving up. It is the ultimate sign of confidence. It's the move of a player who knows that they have the best defensive line in the league and is now ready to start playing offense on everyone else's field. For the ADA holder who has at least sat through the kind of ghost chain insults and the years of sideways price action, this is the moment that the narrative shifts. The secret success is being revealed in real time. Now we are heading into a multi-chain world. The walls are coming down, the silos are breaking, and Cardano is standing there with the tools to connect it all. You need to keep your eyes on the partner chain, announcements. You need to watch the midnight developments, right? You need to watch the meetings between Charles and other founders, because every time a new bridge is built, the secret success of Cardano becomes a little bit less secret. The train, it hasn't necessarily left the station. It's just been upgrading its tracks to reach every city in the world. And if you're holding the ticket, well, you might want to hold on tight, because the ride is only just getting started. Now we're going to be here to track every single move in the Discord. We're going to be here to teach you the mechanics over at 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗀.com. But for now, just remember, the biggest changes often happen when no one is looking. And the biggest successes are the ones that are planned, or at least were planned, in the dark. Cardano is just now stepping into the light, and it's bringing the rest of the industry with it. For now, you can do me a favor by hitting the like button, subscribing, and checking the video that's queued up on the screen right now.